Now, a lesser known calisthenics strength skill, a straight arm strength skill, is the inverted deadlift. So the inverted deadlift position will normally start in a hanging position like this. You'll bring the toes to the bar. Now, if you're on a higher bar, if you have a higher clearance, it would mean a toes to bar. So there, and then we straighten through the hips as we lift up to that position, and then we come back down again, keeping the legs in line with the bar, and then again for repetitions, aiming to open the hip fully at the top like that, and then, like I say, keep the legs very close to the bar on the way down. So there's an open and closing of the hip angle, and also this movement is happening, which is the same as the front lever pull. Now, it's quite a challenging movement, so I'm going to break it down and show some easier variations. But before we do that, I'm going to have a look at the different types of equipment we can use, which might open up a few more options for you. So the barbell or the pull-up bar works really well, especially if you're in a traditional gym setup. And then obviously this type of setup works exactly the same as well. And then a great option is gym rings, because the rings allow a few different options because the bar is not in the way. So I can do the standard movement where I'm running the legs up and down the straps, or I can go more upside down, take the feet in this direction. Now, you can get away with this type of bar, but as you can see, I'm already laying fully on the back. And then when I go through the movement, my head and neck gets in the way a little bit. So you can do it, but it's a little bit restricted. Now, if you can do the full movement, then fantastic. You can just do repetitions of it, and then you can slowly decrease the tempo or decrease the speed to get more time under tension. But if you get stuck at the bottom and you're here and you can't lift up into this position, how do we make it easier? Number one, we could just make it like a front lever pull and go into a tuck position. So there, roll through it. That's slightly easier, but you're losing that hip flexion and extension, which makes it a inverted deadlift. So the other way of doing it to make it easier would be to do the eccentric only. Now, the issue with the eccentric only is that you need to get into the position. How do you get into the position when you're starting underneath the bar? So one option, if you have the clearance to do it and you can climb on top of the bar, would be to get up to the top and now do an eccentric. So you get over the bar like you're going to do an eccentric bar pullover. You go into this position. So you could get into this in a few different ways. You could use a box or something to get yourself upside down and just hook your legs onto the bar. And now when I'm here, I can slowly straighten the arms, take the legs in the opposite direction. So again, it's working as a shelf. And then once I get the arms straight, I can just slowly take the legs down to the floor as slow as possible. And then it would just be a case of climbing back up again. You could use bent arms if you don't want to go all the way over. Get into that position, do the straight arms again, and slowly come down. So we're just working the eccentric down. And this is where the rings makes it so much easier to do that eccentric or do that slightly easier version for the concentric. So one way of doing it would be to come into this position, and I'm just going to use my leg to get me up. And I can obviously adjust the height of the rings to make that easier or harder. I jump up to an inverted position, take the legs through the rings, so that's easier in holding me up as opposed to being in that position. So there, and then I come down a bit like a pike, and I can go all the way down as an eccentric, or I could do partial range. So it could be there, come down, go back up, come down, go back up, come down further, go back up. So that's a real nice way of slowly flirting with a longer or bigger range of motion. And I can always finish every repetition with a slow eccentric. If I can't get myself up into this position, then the other way of doing it on the rings is to walk through the rings, push down on them, turn the rings, flip them over so palms are facing the opposite direction, walk backwards, hips are high, and now I can just find the position where I can step, legs in the opposite direction, and slowly come down. And again, I could do the partial range or just the eccentric. Now, I think the inverted deadlift is a great exercise to play with, but I would still prioritize something like a skin the cat or front lever pulls over it. I think, again, much more bang for your buck with something like a skin the cat, because you're getting that hang at the bottom, you're getting the pull, the straight arm pulling that's very, very important, through that front lever position to inverted, and then you go all the way over to your German hang and back out again. And then you can slowly progress that by opening up, taking the lever arm further and further away from you. So as an all-round movement, the skin to cat is fantastic, and I would nearly always prioritize that over the inverted deadlift. However, the inverted deadlift on the bar, if you don't have rings and you really just want to focus on that front of the movement, so that front lever pull variation, could be a useful option. You could use it as part of a very strict bar pullover. So you'd start in your hanging position, go to toes to bar, inverted deadlift to here, then you bend the arms, pull the hip over the bar until you can roll around to that position. Or another nice combo is a toes to bar, inverted deadlift, and then eccentric front lever pull. So definitely a fun one to play with. Let me know down in the comments if you've been using the inverted deadlift in any way in your training. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated. If you're after coaching, check out my app or my website, link is down in the description, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Thanks guys.